Okay, so last video we talked about gimmicks in Pokemon. We talked about just a little bit into how Game Freak changed the game. They added special items in Gen 5 that were kind of broken. They added special evolutions in Gen 6 that were broken. They added, but dear Lord, Game Freak has been hacked. So there's a lot to talk about with Gen 10.
Oh wow, I did awful.
Okay, better. Whatever. So, first things first, I did let people try to bid on a PS5. You all lost. Nobody got it. Do I want to announce it? Do I want to give you guys another try? I'll give you another try. That's what I've decided. I'll give you another try. It is a Rom Hack on a software, hardware, you know. It's a Rom Hack. I'm not going to tell you whether it's Game Boy, 3DS, but it's a Rom Hack. What's your next hint? PS5 still up for grabs. And it's going to go away the moment I start streaming it, which is any second now. Anyways, we talked about gimmicks. We talked a little bit about, you know, Pokemon changing and evolving with the times. In this video, I kind of want to do a similar thing and talking about Game Freak changing with the times and adding a new gimmick. But I want to talk about it in terms of leaks, and I want to talk about it in terms of Gen 10. So here is a massive spoiler warning. I don't know if these are real. I don't know if this is true, but we're going to talk about them. And what we're specifically going to talk about is what we think Gen 10 is, a little bit of the core mechanics of Gen 10, and then we're going to talk about the possible gimmick and what that might mean for the game as a whole. So first things first, we've had terrestrialization for a while now. I think it's a cool mechanic. It's fun that any Pokemon with any item can terrestrialize, but I think we're ready for a change. And so there is this onset of idea of what could be different. I think briefly touching on the history of battle mechanics, like I've already talked about, what's like the main point that I want to state is like terrestrialization has been, I think, the most balanced out of all of them. And I say that because any one of your, purely talking about VGC here, any one of your 4 mons could terrestrialize on any turn and still do a thing, still make a move. And so I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I think that they have learned what works and what doesn't and how that can change the game. So when we get to Gen 10, I want to see something just as balanced. I think that's what's super important. But what we have here is if we space out like these different gimmicks or battle gimmicks, right? You have Mega Evolution that specifically touched on evolution, right? Like a next form of the Pokemon. A little bit into stats, obviously, because each Mega Evolution you'd have stronger stats. But I'm just going to purely say Mega Evolution was about evolving further because some of them would change they would all have more stat points. Some of them would change their typing. Some would change their ability. There's a lot of change there. And so that's kind of all the mechanics. So we've seen type, we've seen stats being changed, we've seen moves, we've seen items. What's next? What kind of Gen 10 mechanics could we see? Could be the core concept, and what is Gen 10? So let me first start off by saying Gen 10 is not, what did I call it in my last video? Wind and Sky? It is not Wind and Sky. It is Wind and Waves. But technically, it doesn't even have a title yet. I think like the game files literally call it Gaia K and Gaia N. So like it doesn't even have a title, but I still need to correct that. I don't know why I thought Wind and Sky.
I'm dumb.
You serious?
Anyways, the core mechanics of Pokemon Wind and Wave is fundamentally a infinite game. And it sounds so cool. And I say that because the idea is it's based in Southeast Asia, and it's just constantly changing in what like we understand it as. It's like a Southeast Asian map that has all these different like biomes and islands and stuff, but the islands also are infinite in their own right. Like from what we understand, every time you go to a different island or you go to a different place, it's just like changing. And at first it might be like, well, whoa, how do we have that technology? I mean, you could think of something like Minecraft, right? Where I understand the world isn't infinite, but it might as well be. It honestly might be infinite. And so the idea of infinity is really big in these games from the leaks. These are, again, spoiler warning. I already said that, but like take everything with a grain of salt. We honestly, we don't know everything, but this is like our best guess, right? So we understand infinity. That's like the main point for these games. The next point for these games is what's very, very, very similar to Scarlet and Violet is, to our understanding, there's going to be gyms, there's going to be terrestrial, or there's going to be Titan Pokemon, and there's going to be some sort of like evil team, which it sounds like are just like construction workers from like what I understand. My theory is the evil team are really not that evil at all. I mean, it's kind of like ZA in a way where like the Syndicate really didn't do anything wrong, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Syndicate and ZA, like every single side mission you did with them, like they painted them as an evil organization, but all they did was help people. Like it was just side missions part 2. So yeah, there's that. Now, this is where the game gets a little bit different. In Scarlet and Violet, you're Koraidon or Miraidon as you progress through the game. 8 different sandwiches from the Titan Pokemon to traverse the world more. In this game, what we start to see is a kind of like a Rotom scooter is the best way to describe it. And it has like, I don't know, these like weird kind of skateboard and antenna things. I think it's transitioning to more of like a bicycle where it doesn't do a lot of like Koraidon or Miraidon did. I think it is just going to be like a faster way to travel. But then you also have what's called the seed Pokemon. Now, we don't know what that seed Pokemon is, but in the same way that the game is feeding into this idea of infinity, the seed Pokemon itself might just have infinite color combinations and pattern combinations. Now, there really is no infinite color, infinite pattern. I totally get that. But it might be possible that every single time you load up this game, you get a different one. And as you progress through the game, this seed Pokemon slowly can like help you get underwater, can help you get up into the sky, that kind of thing. So I think it'll be very similar to Koraidon and Miraidon. I think with that as well, your seed Pokemon is also eventually going to be the box legendary, whether that's wind or wave. I believe wind is probably gonna be a flying type, and I believe wave is probably going to be a water type box legendary, and so that's kind of it when it comes to like traversing the world. But now what I really want to get into is these Titan Pokemon. Now, we don't fully understand them in their like entirety, but we do know a couple things about them. Is they each have what's called a, I'm gonna get this so wrong, it's Majin, and I want to say Majin, Majin, I don't know. Who knows? I'm gonna say Majin, but I don't know. It's just a game file. It's just a code name. But what it is there's different type-based things, Majins or whatever. As of now, what we kind of are guessing is psychic, ghost, fire, rock, ground, and ice. And the idea is it changes the weather in some way. So we don't know exactly what that means, but like what people are suggesting is it's going to be like primordial sun, primordial sea kind of abilities. And if you're not familiar with those are Kyogre and Groudons, or Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon's signature abilities, like what I'm speculating these are gonna look like. And changing the battlefield was never like a thing that like would happen until Generation 7 released those. And I think Gen 7 also released the starter Pokemon, the pledge moves that created like the swamp, created like these different moves. I think it's probably, first things first, it's gonna boost the move type of whatever move is using it. So it's like, if it's like a, I don't know, let's say the fire one is like volcanoes start to appear. I would imagine my flamethrower is gonna be stronger in that scenario. But I would also be interested to see if, depending on if Infinity is really what they're going after, I would love to see that like my Houndoom and my Charizard get different kind of stat increases or different kind of experiences in these environments. My goal from competitive Pokemon is the more diverse the Pokemon teams are, the happier I am watching VGC. So that's kind of where the gimmick is at right now. We don't know exactly whether it's a weather state or an environmental zone, or if it transforms your Pokemon. We don't know if it's gonna be something that's like, when these are active, certain things can happen. But this idea that we're going to now be focused on the battlefield does get me really excited. It really starts to, I guess, feel like we are moving away from like terrestrialization, which was so great because any Pokemon could use it, to now what would be interesting is if, hear me out, things like this Majin or Majin or whatever code name we're calling it, what would be really interesting to me is if you as a team, your team had to choose it before you enter the battle. And I don't think I have this theory fully fleshed out yet, but in the same way you have to choose types before a battle, what if you had to choose what Majin you wanted? Maybe I have Hidden Power Fire Landorus, I guess, might be an example. And so now that Landorus does more, that Hidden Power does more damage, or something like that. But like, what if you had to pick before you went in? And yes, some Majins have drawbacks to certain Pokemon. Spitballing. But what I think would be interesting is if they do the exact same thing they did with terrestrialization, and it's not so much of like with Mega Evolution, it was just whoever got Mega Kangaskhan out on the field first won the game. But, and obviously that's not true. I understand that, like, you know, there were other Megas that were good at doing their thing. Mega Gengar has a lot of stuff. I totally understand that. I feel like in my very warped vision, like, you still had to play well, but you know what I mean. I just feel like Megas were unfair and broken. And then you have terrestrialization, where any one of your Pokemon can use it. They don't sacrifice anything, and they just gain something. Theoretically, you'd want all your Pokemon Dynamaxed. I meant terrestrialized. And then you have something like terrestrialization, where all your Pokemon can terrestrialize, and I already said this, but at times you would hope that 2 of them could, because of the boosting attack or the defense buff. You might want a different stab. But now, give me that with this environmental thing and change it. Change it to a way where every single team had this change. Every single team had this sort of, they got to choose what their environment on their side of the field looked like, right? Like maybe if the battlefield was like cut in half and it like showed like one was fire and one was water, or one was fire and one was rock or something. Let me choose, and like maybe like the moment you send out oh, this would be so cute. And like the moment you send out your first 2 Pokemon, or you enter the battle before you send out any Pokemon, your seed Pokemon on your shoulder like jumps off and like throws in your Majin and jumps back on your shoulder, and then each player throws out their 2 Pokemon. I don't know, whatever that looks like, but imagine how cool it could be if that's the new thing. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. I don't really know anything of what Game Freak has planned, and I have no special knowledge, but that's my theory. That's what I'd want. I think that'd be so cool, and if this comes true, then I'm the best ever. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts with the new gimmick. I think we've had so many other changes to the game, and especially because we added snow in Scarlet and Violet, I don't feel like changing the environment is really all that crazy to talk about or consider. And so I think this environmental change that is team specific and trainer specific, as everyone can use it and everyone can do it, I think creates a really cool mechanic, and it feels balanced and fair. But maybe you disagree, or maybe you think the Majin thing is going to be a little different. I will link the leaks down below, the leaked site. Actually, will I do that? I probably shouldn't do that because I don't feel like Pokemon is going to want this out there. So I'll just say, if you want to look it up, literally just type in Generation 10 leaks, and obviously surf the internet safely, but it's on there. But with that, that's all I have. Let me know what you think about those in the comments below, or my theory, and let me know your theories. Bye-bye.